Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 5 in our Wano Let's Play series. I am very excited for today's episode because not only did chapter 1089 drop, but also today we are going to be decorating the flower capital. Last episode we got started decorating the flower capital, so today let's go ahead and get just the rest of it done. Last time we decorated this first stall in the flower capital. It's a food stall, so it's got lots of food. It's got a little loading area back here that's hidden behind the trees. Fish, you know, 'cause fish. And then the rest of the flower capital just has items everywhere. Items everywhere. I'm in a decorating mood, so I'm gonna let voiceover Koala take over and we can talk about chapter 1089 as we get started decorating. Alright, chapter 1089 had a lot of information in it. Let's just start at the very beginning and go chronologically within this chapter. I loved seeing the different reactions of the citizens of the One Piece world in the different areas of the globe. This is one of my favorite ways that Oda reveals important events to the story. Not only is it really nice to get the perspective that there's a lot going on the entire world, like these things affect everybody, but it also makes me feel like I'm a part of the story as well. Seeing all the citizens' reactions as I react to what we're finding out makes me feel like I'm a part of it. At this point, I was super excited because I knew Oda was about to reveal something really important to the story because he has done this in the past. Just like in chapter 581, we see citizens across the globe reacting to some really important information about the end of the Paramount War. This is also where we really learn of the rise of Blackbeard and his pirate crew when he recruits all those people from level 6 on Impel Down. In chapter 1089, we see people reacting to Garp being missing in action, not necessarily proclaimed dead. But at the end of the previous chapter, it's implied that he is either dead or seriously wounded after fighting Kizaru. The question moving forward is, what role is Garp going to play in the dawn of the world? Or is he not going to play a role at all? Is he just dead? Gone? Goodbye? And if he is alive, what does Blackbeard have in store for Garp? Is it even possible that Blackbeard wants Garp to join his pirate crew? I personally think it's highly unlikely that Garp would leave the Navy because he believes in it so strongly. But he's had disagreements with people like Sengoku and Akainu in the past. This begs the question, what are Blackbeard's true goals here? I mean, Kizaru did join him, so what made that happen? What did Blackbeard say or promise that made Kizaru join the Blackbeard pirates? And whatever that was, could it be enough to sway Garp as well? Regardless of all of this, let's just look at the info that we have. When it comes down to it, this is what we know. Garp has been announced missing in action. Does that mean he is alive or is he dead? I think he's alive. Blackbeard has a plan and Kizaru knows this. He would not have killed Garp. I think Blackbeard is planning on trying to get Garp over on his side, just like he did with Kizaru, just like he did with all of those prisoners from Impel Down level 6. Blackbeard has always been a person with the master plan. I personally can't wait to see what that plan is in the end. I think that Blackbeard's plan, whatever it is going to be revealed in the final big fight with Luffy bringing the dawn of the world. After we see the citizens around the world react to Garp's missing in action report in the news, we move to seeing the East Blue, South Blue, West Blue, and North Blue experience a huge earthquake or tsunami. At this point, what is even happening, Oda? Like, what is going on? Here, it's revealed that we're seeing the aftermath of Leloucia being destroyed by whatever crazy device Emu has, or Dr. Vegapunk seemingly has concocted. We see a giant hole in the center of the ocean, and honestly, this really got me thinking because it looks really similar to the giant hole that Enies Lobby has. I mean, think about it. When we first saw Eni's lobby, it looked like a huge mystery. I mean, there's no way that a circular hole surrounded by like all these waterfalls and then it has that thing going out into the middle. There's no way that that could happen naturally. No possible way. And we looked at it for a little bit and then glossed over it and moved on because there was so much going on in the story at that point. Who cares about a circular waterfall in the middle of this like whirlpool ocean sort of thing? But if you really think about it and you compare the panels side by side, they look very eerily similar. This makes me really wonder, was Eni's lobby, this whole place, was that actually created a long time ago by a similar weapon, an ancient weapon? Just thinking about it blew my frickin' mind. And it would make sense that we haven't heard anything about it because so much from history has been intentionally erased by the government. I think it is entirely possible that Eni's lobby itself was an island before. There used to be some sort of island there and it got blown off the face of the earth by this ancient weapon that they have now recreated and used to destroy Lulusia Kingdom. It also makes sense that whatever island was destroyed now holds a government place. Like Eni's lobby is controlled by the government, and it makes sense that that's there because essentially the government that's currently ruling the One Piece world won whatever war happened, whatever fight happened in the Void Century. They're the ones that are controlling what history is allowed to be remembered and what history is erased. It could even be that Eni's lobby was the final battle, was that location, and that's why there's that big hole, is because whatever happened, people got erased off the face of the planet. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little too hype about this connection between Eni's lobby and this new hole where Lulusia used to be. Let's just move on to the rest of this chapter. We also knew from previous chapters that Egghead Island was being surrounded by a massive fleet from the Marines and the government. And here we finally get to see that happening. We see this beautiful panel of Egghead Island in the distance and a ton of warships, and 20 of which are great warships, which I don't know a lot about boats, but to me that sounds like having 20 tanks versus 20 hybrids. I also just want to say that we see all of these ships being attacked by those giant machine animal monsters that Vegapunk created to defend the island, and that is very impressive because those machines are no joke. They're literally referred to as machine sea beasts, and sea beasts are no joke because we remember when we first experienced them, they were portrayed as these incredibly intense animals that are super strong. So the fact that these Marines are just like taking care of them like they're swatting flies, that should show you the amount of force that is heading to Egghead Island. Also, just let me fangirl here for a minute. It is so freaking cool to see Luffy and the Straw Hat crew referred to as an emperor. That is so freaking cool, and I was so excited when Luffy was actually pronounced an emperor, and now anytime it is just brought up in the manga or wherever online, I freak out internally. I'm such a huge fan of him finally being an emperor. Also, the fact that he made it to emperor status with just 10 people in his crew, that is so impressive. It's also very interesting to see that Saint Saturn is actually also at Egghead. It shows us that the world government is taking this very seriously. Jumping to the end of this chapter, I fangirled so hard when we saw the entire Straw Hat crew all together on Egghead Island. I have been waiting and waiting for so long to see the entire Straw Hat crew being shown in one big panel like this one. The fact that they used this Vegapunk creation to trick the world government into telling them a bunch of information that they needed was oh my gosh, that was so freaking smart. And I have to believe by the last panel when Nami says, "I see, everything's finally coming into focus." I think this was Nami's idea for sure. The last time we saw people on Egghead, we kind of got left off at a little cliffhanger. We didn't really know who was in control of the situation, so it's really nice to see that whatever happened on Egghead, the Straw Hats came out on top. I also love the fact that in this last panel, Rob Lucci is just like hanging out in the back. He's just there existing. A few chapters ago, when Luffy said to Lucci that he didn't need to tie him up because he knew he could beat him, that was a straight flex. Don't get me wrong, I loved the previous chapters where we got to see what was happening on Pirate Island and all of the other stuff going on in the world, but I am so happy to finally see the Straw Hats again on Egghead Island. I'm so curious to see what's going to happen next. I mean, I'm pretty sure the next chapter that's going to drop, we're going to continue on Egghead Island, but I really want to see, like, how are they going to get off this island, and when they do, where are they going to go next? Right? Like, Luffy has beaten 2 of the emperors at this point. I mean, the logical next step for him would be to go fight Shanks, right? Or some of the other emperors. Maybe even taking on this new guild that Buggy and Crocodile and Mihawk have. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for me in this voiceover. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about 1089. I would love to hear your reactions and your theories in the comment section below, so please let me know, what did you think? What do you think is going to happen next? I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. Alright, I think we knocked a solid majority of the Flower Capital out. Let's take a final tour to see what it turned out to. I was trying really hard to make this area look very busy because there's a lot of bright colors in the Flower Capital. So we've got a bright blue stall, a bright purple stall, a bright orangey yellow stall. This one's selling books, this one's selling stuffed animals. This is a food stall. We walk our way back this way and we have a little plate shop. So it's got behind the scenes a little water faucet and a bucket to keep those plates nice and hydrated. Again, we've got the colorful balloons everywhere to try and add more height and more pops of color. Moving this way, we've got the entrance to Shogun's Castle, which is up top here. I'll showcase a little bit of it off. Behind the Shogun's Castle, we've got that big, beautiful tree. We've got the waterfalls off of the sides. I included purple roses on the top because in the anime, Orochi is wearing a lot of purple and a lot of yellow, so those are kind of his colors and I included those for him. In the middle of the Flower Capital, kind of sad. Does anyone like to boil? I included this little pot scenario because this is where poor Kozuki Oden was boiled. Yeah. Alright, moving on. We did a little bit of the second half of the Flower Capital here. We've got this beautiful walkway with all of these arches. I've got the start of a little flower garden or nature area back here. We decorated the front of Able Sisters. It's just a start, it's not done yet, but you know, it's good to have somewhere to work off of. And I think that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed talking about chapter 1089 with me today and watching me decorate the Flower Capital. If you have any ideas or suggestions on how to keep making this as authentic to One Piece as possible, absolutely let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you are all having an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!